Next up, the New York Knicks. I said that their expectation should probably be NBA Finals. I mean, like, I'll accept conference finals. Like, if they went from second round to conference finals this year, I think everyone in New York would probably be pretty happy. But like, if I'm that team and I have the team that they have assembled, if I'm one of those players, I'm thinking, okay, we can do this. We can be on a finals team this year. So the big question for me in terms of if they can exceed that, A, Jalen Brunson has to be Brunson again. Yep. But B, it comes down to the front court for me. Like, I'm a big believer in the Anunoby Mikal Bridges combination. They have Josh Hart coming off the bench. They have Dante DiVincenzo, who's been like incredible last season for New York, and I completely buy into him being a really, really impactful player. Do they play Julius Randle at the 5 ever? Is that a look that Tibbs is willing to go to? Can Mitchell Robinson stay healthy? If they aren't willing to go to Julius Randle at the 5, can Jericho Sims, Precious, Ariel Hookporty, whoever, be able to like provide the kind of size and depth that they need at the 5? Or is this a circumstance where it's going to be an issue for them, given the way that Tibbs likes to play and likes to have that 5 position play? It does come down to the front court for me and how that looks. Because I think the rest of the team, especially if Brunson is going to be what he was last year again, and I don't see a reason why he wouldn't be, I would say that they are well positioned to be a high-level playoff team.
So lockstep on this one. I said Eastern Conference Finals or Finals. And then my 2 things was the center position works itself out. I mean, if they would have been able to keep Hartenstein, like, forget it. Like, I would be super excited about this team. And then I put Brunson replicates. Here's my question to you. Do you think they want to win the Eastern Conference in the regular season? And do you think that they're able to do it? Like, what are their chances of doing it?
I think they want to, yes. Because holy shit, did you see the Garden last playoffs? Like, if I'm them, I want to win the regular season. And Tibbs has always been like a kind of guy that wants to win every game, right? Like, if I'm them, I want the number 1 seed. I want to make people come into the Garden and beat us. That to me is like a huge, huge advantage for them. Like, that fan base is out of their minds, and I love them. Like, I love Knicks fans. That arena, there's just nothing like it, really. So yes, to answer your question, I want to be the 1 seed, and I do think that's like a pretty reasonable goal for them. Chance. It does come down to like how hard Boston tries. Boston is still, to me, the most talented team in the East, like by a good amount. But for all of the reasons we talked about when we talked about Boston, do they try to take their foot off the pedal in order to kind of preserve the minutes on these guys with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday and Derek White, like 3 of those 4 guys playing Team USA and everything? I think the number 1 seed is in the realm for the Knicks. Like, it's not out of the question.
If I felt better about their center position, that would be something I would feel, I don't want to say good about, but something I would feel, I wouldn't feel awful making that take that New York, I wouldn't pick them in the playoffs, but to pick them to win the 1 seed in the regular season, just because the Philly's only playing for the playoffs, especially with those 2 guys. Boston may, especially with Porzingis not being there for a while in the summer those guys had, I just can't get there because I'm so worried. Maybe I'm overly worried. I'm just so worried about the Knicks center position because I thought it was so vital to their success last year.
Here's my final thing on the Knicks in terms of how they exceed expectations. They probably need 1 more of these guys to step up and be like a true secondary creator. The guy that it makes sense to be is Randall.
I was say Julius, right? Like that Julius.
Yeah, but like Randall didn't play on like in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Like, so.
But he can do that if he's healthy, don't you think?
He can totally do that, like 100%.
Okay.
But just adding Julius back in with Mitch Rob, if Mitch is healthy, create like kind of a cramped court for Jalen Brunson in playoff settings, right? Yeah. If I was them, I would love it if Mikal Bridges could be like the 20 point per game Mikal Bridges that we saw in Brooklyn, while also adding like the sick defense that we saw.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he can do that because like I thought Mikal kind of dropped off a little bit defensively in Brooklyn, you know, potentially from being the number one option and having to expend more energy on that side of the court. Now, like they don't need Mikal to do as much on offense because or on defense because they have OG Anunoby, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like can you blend those two factors where he can be like a real significant plus on defense and a significant plus on offense? That would be my like hope for what a Mikal Bridges looks like in New York. Like I would like to see not the pure offense that we saw in Brooklyn. It wasn't pure offense, but it was a lot more geared toward that. Um, but he probably doesn't also need to be like the all-world defender we saw in Phoenix either. He can be like a great defender as opposed to a solid defender like we saw in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Sure.